So he's ready for the season. He had maroon ones until the weekend, so we swapped them.
Jess, started WBBL season, so it's an exciting time, but particularly to be able to play up in the high and start up there, it's a great opportunity for Queensland team in Queensland.
Yeah, definitely. It's nice that WBBL 08's come around now, and obviously as a regional girl, someone from Central Queensland, I always love playing up in Mackay. The family makes the trip up the highway, and the Mackay locals come out in force, so it'd be nice to put on a festival weekend up there. And obviously our opening game of this season against the Sixers, it's going to be a really, really big match.
And I was thinking, maybe I'm not 100% sure, but 6 of the first 7 games here in Mackay, so a huge opportunity for the Heat to get off to a good start with games at Adelaide and in Queensland.
Yeah, it's going to be huge, and hopefully I think T20 cricket, particularly tournament play, is all about momentum, and hopefully we can get off to the start that we like. We've got some really good signings this year, some new internationals coming over, some old ones in Milika returning. So yeah, it's a really exciting time for us, and yeah, I'm excited for the first round up in Mackay, but I'm really excited about bringing games back here to Allan Border Field. Obviously the last time we played here was the last time that we won the title, and the fans came out in droves, and now that the redevelopment's happened, hopefully we see a lot more of that, and yeah, bring some really high quality cricket to people of Mackay and Brisbane.
Yes, your 100th game was up there last year. Do you pinch yourself and think you've been playing that much cricket, and have you still thinking about where the future goes with you? Just the Australian team's commitments are still big, aren't they? There's still a lot of cricket to be played.
Yeah, I mean, I feel pretty proud to have been the first female player to bring up the 100 WBBL games, and for me even more important is being a one club player and doing that all for the Brisbane Heat. And yeah, hopefully I think the Aussie coach Matt Mott at the time was jokingly said, oh okay, 100 more, and I mean, who knows? I'm going to hopefully keep playing as many games of cricket as I can for as long as I can, and with the way that the schedules are going these days, it's there's a lot of cricket to be played, and it could potentially mean that there's some games that you're unavailable for due to being away for international stuff. But yeah, I mean, I'm fiercely loyal to the teams that I'm a part of, and yeah, hopefully just keep playing as many games as I can.
Burnout's a big hot topic at the moment in women's cricket, and I guess for so long you've had to play as much as you can to make as much money as you can to be able to do this as a career. There's been a lot of talk about change and what needs to be done. Have you got any ideas, any things that you think that can be done to help keep women in the game longer?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of one of those things that as female athletes as a whole, you beg and you want sort of more games or more exposure. So then for me, I'm sort of like, well, I can't exactly complain when it happens. So, and I think that's probably been the trap, I guess, that some female athletes have potentially fallen into, that you ask for these things, and then as soon as you get to play more, it's you just try and play everything. And that's not really sustainable as a human being. I think it's Ben Stokes put it perfectly, that we're not robots, that you do need the break. And I think it's probably comes down to a bit of a planning between state associations, clubs, as well as from Cricket Australia and the athlete, to be like, okay, well, what is the priority for this individual, and how can we get the best out of this person moving forward? And that's the thing, that's the key. It's how do we get the most out of this person, not necessarily as this person just as a cricketer. That it's there's a lot more at play, and I mean there's a lot of support out there as well, but I think it's that idea of, and that greater understanding that there's more to things and more to life than just playing games of cricket. You need to look after yourself away from the game as well.
Is there any personal, your own experiences that you felt at times that I was playing too much, or I needed to step back, or those sorts of things?
There's probably hasn't been a moment that I felt that I've been playing too much. It's probably more so that I guess during COVID, over these last few years, it's been really challenging having been in bubbles or hubs and all the restrictions, border closures. There's been a lot of external pressures. So I think now that there's a bit of normality returning, hopefully, that it was more sort of COVID burnout more than anything. And sometimes, it sort of takes its toll when you're on the road for so often. And for us, sort of not necessarily being able to bring your family at different points because they either have to work or, somebody sort of has to hold down the fort back home. We sort of haven't really had the luxury of picking up your whole family and taking them on the road with you. I think it's sort of the time away from home, living out of a suitcase. It's sort of, it does take its toll sometimes, but there are a lot of good things in place that, and a lot of support that it's just a matter of making sure that people are aware of it and able to tap into it.
What about the rivalry with Sydney? Interesting to hear some things before. Can you elaborate a bit on what was said before and the history behind it?
Yeah, well, obviously in most sports there's the Queensland-New South Wales rivalry, and for some reason for us it was sort of between the Brisbane Heat and the Sixers and the magenta, that there was always this sort of stereotype that they sort of got the better end of everything, or that they sort of felt like, they were very successful very early in the competition, so maybe it was just, they just had that aura about them. And I'm close with a few of the girls in that team and know their personality doesn't necessarily match the stereotype that the wearing that magenta that it comes with. But for us it was always the fact that for the first 6 years of the competition, we never played Sydney outside, the Sixers outside of Sydney. Playing home games against them down there and being in the away change rooms, it just never sat right with us. That it was sort of, well, who's making these scheduling decisions here? Was it someone inside the Sydney camp, or was it a Sixers supporter? And so it's sort of, now that they've been able to come up the highway for a few games, it's been really nice. And sort of still have a slight little joking dig about that, but ultimately it wasn't in their control, it's just sort of how it happened, but it always adds a nice bit of extra spice to things.
What's motivating you? You've done well in the game, you've won World Cups, played a big part in them as well, T20 and one international wins, Commonwealth Games. What's driving you this year? When you've done it all?
Well, for me, it's just, I always want to try and be better, and I think for me, being a girl from the country, it's sort of, I want to continue trying to be a role model for the girls up there. That it's sort of, it doesn't matter where you come from, that you can still succeed in the big stage. And I guess with the Future Tours program that came out recently, that over the next few years got the potential to be able to play a test match in India against India. That's something that that's really driving me. I've only played test matches against England in my whole career, and as a spin bowler, to be able to have that opportunity to play test match cricket in India, that's something that's really driving me at the moment.
There's obviously a bit of a leadership void from the Australian cricket team, a retirement, vice captain from international. Maybe future, we're not quite sure. How do you see yourself? Could you see yourself captaining Australia?
Yeah, look, it'll be a massive role and some big shoes to fill for whoever it is. And I've sort of tried to take on a bit of a leadership role sort of over the last few years with the spinning group. So it's sort of one of those things that I won't necessarily need to have the letter next to my name or to be labelled as the captain or the vice captain as such to feel like I can have a role to play in a leadership point of view. But if I was considered for it or given the nod for it, it would be a huge honour and a huge privilege, and something that I'd seriously have to think about. Obviously, sort of turning 30 next month, that it's sort of thinking how much longer will I have in the game. Hopefully it's a number of years. We don't know. But there's some really good candidates out there. You've got sort of Talia McGrath as well, Elyse sort of put her hand up as well. So it's an incredible group to be a part of, and I know that there's a number of people that will be able to step up and do a job if they're called upon.
Jess, how have you seen that changing with the Garden? First the coach going, then Meg, and then Rachael as well. I guess, but but the team still seems to just keep doing well.
Yeah. Well, I think like that's a credit to the domestic structure that we have in Australia. That we've obviously got a really good WNCL competition. The WBBL has exposed a lot of young players at an early age to sort of high pressure situations, and that's probably helped us in a lot of world tournaments and world stages. We've sort of identified that it's sort of against the likes of India that don't necessarily have the women's IPL yet, that hopefully, I guess from a selfish point of view, I hope they do it soon so I can still be a part of it sort of before I finish playing. But it's sort of the domestic structure of the players coming through that we're able to sort of fill those voids, or at least have a number of players step up and almost become what that player, the value that they added to the team. And I'm not going to lie, it's a little bit nerve-wracking because you've got two incredible leaders that aren't part of the team at the moment, that what they brought to the team are irreplaceable, but there are ways that other players can step up to be able to fill part of the void that they've left.
That burnout stuff that you're talking about, is that like, why Meg and Rachael sort of side, you think?
Look, I can't exactly speak for them, but I know obviously Meg's achieved significant amount in the game, and taking on the captaincy, I think she was 21 at the time, and having to do that role for the length of time that she has, and obviously over the last few years with doing it during COVID time, it's been tough on everybody. But when you're the leader of a team, and we've been fortunate enough to be so successful over, I guess, her whole tenure as captain, that sometimes people do need a break, and that's okay. And obviously Rach, she's sort of reinvigorated her career a number of years ago, and coming back into the side, and what she's brought, she's got a young family as well, that we've got to take that into consideration and into account as well. So I have no doubt, though, with somebody like Rach, she might not be contributing on the field sort of anymore with retiring, but I know she's going to be a huge contributor off the field still. Cricket won't lose her, that's for sure.
Beautiful, Jess.
No worries. Thanks, guys.